Welcome to Class TV. I am myself, Aliwi Tosin. Now, this is the sixth edition, sixth video for this topic. You've been truly following us. Now, we want to experiment to determine the mass of an object by using a meter rule. This knowledge is very, very important in attempting questions that deals, mostly calculations that deals with equilibrium of forces. Please. Now, when we have a meter rule, it's a meter rule. In the previous class, I said something. Let me use my pencil. I said something that what the length of a meter rule is 100 centimeter. And the center of gravity is located at 0.50 centimeter, which is the what? The center, the middle of the what? Of the ruler. Now, when we have a meter rule and we have our knife edge, we call it knife edge. You can also call it your what? Your pivot. Right? And we can also call it, we call it knife edge, pivot. You can also call it a fulcrum. Yes, you can call it a fulcrum. Now, this is your fulcrum at the middle, right? It depends, but for this experiment, we are placing our fulcrum at the middle. Now, we have a known mass. This is a known mass, M. Let's call it M1. M1, that's a known mass at this side. And we also have an unknown mass. That's the mass we are trying to determine. An unknown mass. Let's call it our M2, okay? Now, take note of this. We said it that for a equilibrium of bodies under parallel forces, we said it that what? The sum of anti-clockwise moments must be equal to the sum of what? Clockwise moments. And we said that moments is given as force times perpendicular distance. Now, on this note, our distance, note, is the distance between the fulcrum and the mass in question. Let's take note of that. This is the distance. I will call this D1. That's the distance. And again, let me use my biro. Okay? And the distance between this point here and this unknown, this is the known mass. Okay? Let me call it my known mass. What is the unknown mass? Now, we've known this mass, but this mass we want to determine. Now, the distance between this place and this place, you could say is our what? Our D2. Note, it is not the distance between this and this. That is the D in momentum. In moment, sorry. It is the distance between this place and this place. Let's take note of that. So now, we said that what? We know this mass already. Right? M1. And this is the distance. M2. Now, we said that to determine the mass now, we say our M1, right, times D1, which is moment, right, is equal to what? To M2 times what? D2. Are we together? M2 times what? D2. Now, our M2 is the unknown. That's the one we want to what? We want to determine. So with this now, we just need to do what? We know our mass. Let's say the mass is like 50 gram or 20 gram. It is a known mass, right? Now, and this is the unknown. So we just make the unknown the subject of the formula by dividing through by D2 and dividing through by D2. So that D2 cancels D2. Then we can say that the unknown mass M2 is equals to the known mass N1 times the particular distance 1 over D2. That is how to determine that. Now let's just cite a small example. Let's do an illustration. Now let's assume we know our known mass to be 25. Okay, let me say 20 grams. Okay, and this distance here is now between this to this place is 25. Okay, let me use 25 here for easy calculation, and distance here is your 25 centimeter. Okay, and the distance here to your 25 centimeter, because I said it that the focal was placed at the middle of the meter rule. So we want to know this. So applying this formula now, our M1 is 25 gram. Now our M2, our D1 now is also 25 centimeter. That's D1. I'm using M1, D1 equals M2, D2 from formula for moment. Now, so is equal to what? Is equal to our, what is our M2? Our M2 is unknown. That's the one we want to calculate. And our D2 is what? Is 25 centimeter. So what we need to do now is divide through by 25. Divide through by 25. This cancels this. Then this cancels this too. So our M2, which is the unknown mass, is equal to 25 grams. So we've been able to use meter to determine what? An unknown mass. An unknown mass. So on this note, we continue of this topic. We continue by taking more examples in our next class. Worked examples. Thank you.